The world is a carousel of color.
Hi, I'm Adam,
I'm Fletch.
and we're wearing, like, strictly by coincidence, matching hats
Mm-hmm.
and kind of matching shirts.
Subject matter related.
We should, like, do that show Bosom Buddies, but with us.
No.
We could be the odd couple, but with matching hats. All right, so this is Full Metal Mouse. We tried to record a week ago, and I mean, you were fine. I kind of looked stupid, so
That was like 2 days ago.
I have trouble with time. So anyway, so we got some interesting news. First of all, got some images on the Hulk coaster. Got the art for what the entrance is going to look like. I don't think they've taken it down yet because they're not opening. It's not soft opening.
They showed us the ride cars.
Yes, and you didn't like them,
I didn't say that. I like them.
but you had a specific.
It looks kind of like a Goblin glider. It was real angular with the bright lights on the front.
See, I think it looks like a green S2000.
Okay. They were purple, but whatever.
Were they purple? I thought they were green.
I don't know.
It would make sense for them to be purple.
Mm-hmm.
Are you saying the coaster, the ride car, is the Hulk's pants?
Yeah.
You're saying you're going for a ride in the Hulk's pants?
Yes.
All right, I like that enough that I'll just go with it. So the story's a little interesting. So General Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross subjects, like basically Universal Studios, whatever you call it, guests to experiments to make them into new Hulks, which isn't really like Thunderbolt Rossi.
No.
He only likes to make people into Hulks when it disappears their mustache.
Disappears.
Look, all right, this one might come out weird too, but we're going with it anyway. We're gonna ride this baby like the Hulk's pant. Anyway, but we don't know much about it. We've seen the new ride car. We know that it's going from a tire propulsion system to a magnetic, whatever they call it. This is like the best place to get information. There's going to be a magnetic, whatever they call it.
If you want technical information, go elsewhere.
Yes. You can look it up online. This is just because you like us.
No, it looks pretty cool. One of the cool things is at the front of the ride, they actually took some of the old track and an old ride car, right?
Yeah, they kept one of the ride cars. I think they scrapped the rest of them. And really the only place you'll see the Hulk on this ride, as far as we know, is when you're walking through the entrance. The Hulk is sort of holding up one of the cars, about to throw it at you.
I'm kind of hoping he's like the Yeti on Expedition Everest. When you get to the end of the ride, he's like, "Get out!" Tell me that wouldn't be awesome.
Why did you suddenly turn into Shang-Chi?
I don't know.
No. That would be kind of awesome until the animatronic fades like the Yeti, and it's just stuck with him holding it barely over your head, about to kill you at any second.
Right.
Which I'd be down for. Well, not me, kidding. Anyway, we're going to move on from that. But it's pretty cool. They're saying that it's going to be the summer. We still don't have a hard date for that or Reign of Kong. But the rumor is that in June.
They're both pretty close to being done. So.
Mm-hmm. I'm definitely not going to try and ride them till at earliest later this year, because it's going to be crazy over there.
Right.
And that's all we know so far. Reign of Kong is expected to be involved, sort of like a, what is it, the Gringotts ride. But Hulk is going to be a brand new actual roller coaster, which Universal fans should be excited about, because it seems like there's a lot of hate towards the digital influenced rides.
I don't know if it's hate. It just gets kind of monotonous when everything is the same kind of.
Mm-hmm. Well, I do know people with glasses do tend to complain when they have to use almost every ride involves 3D.
I wear glasses. I don't really have a problem with that. It's just when they're doing the same thing. It's like, okay, I'm going to sit down and do this again. That's all.
I understand it. I just feel like I enjoy, as long as it's an enjoyable ride, I don't care much.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's because I'm more of a Disney person, where I go to Universal for a specific experience. I love riding The Amazing Spider-Man. I really enjoy Transformers. Love all the Harry Potter stuff. And I mean, really, that's, when it comes down to it, that's what I go to Universal for, is those three things. So if you give me more Harry Potter, I don't care if it's 3D. So also got some some views on Shanghai Disney's Tron coaster. Apparently, Shanghai Disney is going, or Disneyland, excuse me, has opened. I don't know if it's a soft opening or a full opening, but we got to see the actual Tron ride, the Tron coaster. Really amazing, except for like 3 seconds.
Yeah, after the launch, you kind of go outside for a second, which kind of interferes with the suspension of disbelief that you're actually in the game, because you lose all the EL effect.
It's like 3/4 of a dark ride with just like one weird section where all of a sudden it's like, oh, hey, look. And like you said, like it does sort of ruin the effect, because once you get out of the darkness, suddenly it's just like a weird looking roller coaster.
Right. But the stuff inside looks incredible.
Mm-hmm. It's probably what they should have leaned closer to when they tried to remake Test Track into a Tron ride.
Right.
Which is unofficially basically what they did. But really cool. Hopefully at some point we'll get that here in America, because the odds of me going to Shanghai in the near future are pretty much slim and none. Because I don't think I'd go to... That's China, right? Shanghai, China?
Yeah, so...
The odds of me... The only reason I go to China is for, like, Shanghai Disneyland, and I think there's another one down there somewhere. But
in regular Disney news...
So, it turns out I'm wrong about the Guardians of the Galaxy thing.
Both wrong. Well, halfway wrong.
Half wrong.
Half wrong.
So, they will not be bringing Guardians of the Galaxy to Walt Disney World, at least as of yet. But Disney's California Adventure apparently will actually be turned into Guardians of the Galaxy. Don't think we know anything thus far about what they're going to do. But as I've said, it's going to have to be a complete teardown. I guess it doesn't have to be if they could sort of remodel it, but it would.
It's going to be a complete remodel. I mean, even if they don't knock the building down, it's got to go all the way back to bare wall. I mean,
well,
nothing, unless you're going to some strange.
What I'm saying is, like, in terms of construction, deconstruction, I can't imagine they'll save any money by remodeling the exterior and the interior without taking it down. It seems like it would be more trouble to do that than to just do a complete teardown and build from the ground up. Also, why remodel the Tower of Terror into a Guardians ride? Number one, the Guardians, there's nothing about it that says drop ride.
Right. I don't see how a drop ride would work. I mean, in this case, I think like a 3D simulator ride would be the best way to go.
And you and I discussed the idea that, okay, the Twilight Zone isn't really, like most kids don't know about it.
Right. But
I've always said, like, I miss the days when Disney didn't just use IPs. And, you know, we discussed Alien Encounter Extraterrestrial.
Stitch ride.
Yeah, they turned into Stitch. And it's super unpopular now, and people miss
one of my favorite
Alien
rides.
Encounters.
Okay.
I think to me, the only real difference is you went from Tim Curry's voice to Richard Kind. And, I mean, obviously the show was also different, but the setup for it is basically the same. Like,
yeah, they just switched over to more of a comedy than a horror.
Yeah, well, that's
kids
absolutely
were getting terrified.
Yeah, that's supposedly one of the reasons. But people loved Alien Encounter, aside from small children that were frightened and peed themselves. But people loved that, and there was no... I mean, it's not based on Alien or something like that. You know, so I don't really think that the idea that the Twilight Zone is an outdated IP really matters. I think we get everything we need from Tower of Terror.
No one calls it the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror. It's just called Tower of Terror.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even part of the...
Right. Now, obviously, but it incorporates Rod Serling and all that.
Right.
But I think you get everything you need from the actual ride queue and all that. I'm very torn when it comes to the Marvel properties. I want Disney to do something with them, but I don't want them to half-ass it. And I feel like there's a lot of things that they've done recently that they've half-assed. We're very much hopeful for Star Wars, because the last Star Wars thing they did was incredible when they redid Star Tours. Mm-hmm. Star Tours is probably one of the best rides to come out in the last decade. Like, they really made that thing into something amazing. So hopefully you see more of that in the Star Wars land, whatever they end up calling it. But there's a lot of things they've dropped the ball on. Fantasyland, they totally dropped the ball. You know, aside from, I know you and your lovely wife got to eat at Be Our Guest.
Yes.
You ate the gray stuff.
Mm-hmm.
which you were like,
It was
hey, we
okay.
had the gray stuff. And I was like, what are you talking about? The gray stuff from the song? Oh, right. But I mean, that was pretty amazing. I haven't gotten
the
to go to the
execution's
restaurant.
fantastic. I mean,
But then you get to, have you written the Seven Dwarves
Yeah.
ride? I haven't written it.
it's okay.
That seems to be what everyone says.
I mean, it's really cool, but it's some animatronic dwarfs singing.
Mhm.
It's more for kids. Kids love it.
I was told that the main complaint is that it's short. It's like, it's not that it's bad, it's just you wait a long time.
After
in line.
waiting that long and going on it, it's just kind of like, dip, okay, we're done.
And as I've said many times, the Little Mermaid ride is the worst thing Disney's done, at least in my opinion.
They
ever.
revamped it a little bit, but it still didn't help.
They changed the lighting.
It's still, yeah.
I'm told the lighting makes it better, but I'm like, that's not my complaint about that ride.
I thought it was broken the first time we rode it. I was like, oh, I guess it's not working right.
But, so I want them to do something with Marvel, but I want them to actually be on their game.
Mhm.
And at Guardians of the Galaxy, like we discussed, I haven't posted it on YouTube, but when we were discussing what we'd like to see, was it the Marvel crossover episode?
Yeah.
No, we were talking about what we'd like to see out of Star Wars Land. That's what we were talking about. I discussed, I thought it would be really cool if at the end of Star Wars Land, they built like a little nowhere and made it into some sort of like animated attraction.
And then if you went off of that, that's your perfect segue between worlds,
Right.
Yeah.
So, something like that would be cool, but just doing something in the Tower of Terror, it bugs me.
I don't know what they're going to do, but it's, like you said, it's not something new and fresh. You're just rebranding something else.
At this point, I'd be happy with Universal keeping the Marvel properties on the East Coast, doing more with it, because they do. They need to tear down Doctor Doom, and there's no reason for Doctor Doom to be such a lame ride. Doctor Doom's basically one of the biggest villains in comic book history.
Mm-hmm.
They should have done more with it. Tear down that, tear down the Fantastic Four Cafe, tear down Stormforce Accelerator, and do something with that area. But Universal's proved over the last few years they can do stuff, and they'll make something amazing to varying degrees, obviously. With Marvel and Disney, I'd be happy if they just turned Interventions into the Stark Expo, which was a rumor, God, like 6-7
The
years
Stark
ago.
Expo, the whole, like, the SHIELD command center, like, maybe the commissary is, like,
Ooh, I'd be down for a S.H.I.E.L.D. restaurant.
Yeah.
But the Stark Expo fits in so perfectly. It was obviously that's what they were doing in Iron Man 2 is like, World's Fair, that kind of thing.
Right.
So,
And it's easy to update, too, just change the stage.
right. So, and let's be honest, Interventions have needed it for a long time. And there's rumors that more of Interventions is going to be closing very soon. It's just Future World's become a mess over the last few years.
Right.
So, let's see. There's also the purchase of DreamWorks by Universal.
Right.
Via, was it Viacom? Universal Viacom?
Via Viacom.
We discussed, I'm a huge fan of How to Train Your Dragon 1 and 2, and obviously I'm not alone. It's a huge hit.
Yeah.
And I would be so psyched if they announced that, they're going to start working on something for that ride immediately and do something with it, although...
Something not like the Dumbo flying elephants with dragons.
Oh, that would be awful. That would be. In fact, I'd be happy if Disney took that down as well. But I don't see it happening. I'm very curious if, Nintendo Land is coming up eventually. Now they bought DreamWorks. If, again, it's still a rumor, but the idea that huge parcel of land that Universal bought back, which they owned years ago, they're obviously going to put a hotel in there somewhere. But it's actually, I think, bigger than the current Universal property. Like the entire, including all the hotels. So there's some serious rumors that they're going to turn that into a third official gate. Because technically they're saying Volcano Bay is their third gate, but it's a water park.
Right.
So when it rains, you're not going to go to Volcano Bay. So are they saving all this for that third park that may or may not happen? It's all pretty much up in the air. We know nothing about Nintendo Land, or any idea of when they're going to start it. But other than How to Train Your Dragon, I can't say there's much that I even think's worth having from DreamWorks. I mean, Kung Fu Panda's obviously pretty popular.
Kung Fu Panda would work. And maybe they're talking about for the future,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they. I know they have a few things coming out. I want to say The Secret Life of Pets, which looks pretty good, is DreamWorks. But like Shrek is so outdated and just needs to be. They need to get rid of it.
It's terrible.
It is, and it doesn't really. It's got the same setup as the Muppet Vision 3D.
The queue is fine, but the ride itself is just awful, and the line outside is.
The ride itself wants you to buy into the fact that you're in the movie, but it doesn't work. You're in a giant theater and you see the elements of that theater all around you. You can't buy into the idea that you're in this carriage riding off.
It's like the Minion ride, the same thing too. The queue is awesome, but once you actually get in, it's kind of.
I think you buy a little bit more into the Minion ride though. Like it doesn't like you do sort of buy into the idea that you're part of this.
Right.
Whereas Shrek, I can't. But I also agree with you on Minions. I think if you're a kid, maybe it's amazing if you really love those movies. But as an adult, and granted, not everything's for adults. And Universal's biggest criticism is they need stuff that's just for kids.
Right.
But I was so let down by Minions. Because I think Jimmy Neutron was a bit, because that was the same building.
Right.
Jimmy Neutron was cooler than Minions. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with DreamWorks. I think they paid like $4 billion for it, which is a lot for a company that's been on the outs for a while. Mm-hmm. They had a lot of financial troubles. They had to push back How to Train Your Dragon 3, and they might have actually. I know it just came out, but I want to say they had pushed back a little bit the Kung Fu Panda 3 as well. Could be wrong. But it's hard to criticize Universal considering how much good they've done with what they have for the last few years. So obviously they have an idea of what they're doing. It is hard to believe that they just buy DreamWorks just to have it in the hopes that it'll turn out to be something. Let's see, what else do we have? So I saw a rumor today. One of the guys from Just After Dark posted it. Apparently Disney's working on technology that would improve animatronics in the field.
Right.
And so the idea is that possibly in the future, meet and greets would get rid of character actors and start being more animatronic.
But what happens when they go sentient?
Are you messing with me because I have that nightmare about Chuck E. Cheese?
No. I saw iRobot, right? Though. No.
I was severely frightened as a kid at the time was Showbiz Pizza, but I was severely frightened of it because I don't know if I'd seen Westworld, but I was convinced that the animatronics were going to go crazy and start murdering everyone.
So a little bit off topic, but this guy bought an entire set of the Showbiz Pizza robots, and he programs it to modern songs.
This person must be stopped.
It's pretty awesome.
I have a hard time believing this. Number one,
they Disney started doing the masks. Like they had the Mickey.
Yeah, but those things are super creepy. Have you seen them?
Yeah.
I could not imagine bringing my child up to this thing, like the way the eyes move.
I got a couple of pictures like from the side, and it kind of looks like he's up to no good.
Those masks do not allay my murder robot fears at all. But Disney's pioneered animatronics.
Right.
Obviously, they've done a great job. But we just mentioned the Yeti. Obviously, because we're talking about machines, we're talking about being in Florida. You got humidity, heat. There's so many elements, and just the constant movement, the constant friction. Those things break down easy. Do you really want? And again, I don't even know how far this idea is going, but can you imagine a situation where you're exposing children to them? What if, maybe they just break down, or maybe they do something weird
with their face like half melts, like T2 style.
Yeah. Do we want Mickey Mouse to have like a robo stroke? Which sounds grosser than I intended.
Right. But there's the
and then
the raptors over at the Jurassic Park ride. They're all.
But they don't interact with them.
They interact.
They attack the cage, but you don't like pet them.
Yeah.
You don't hug them.
You go up to them and pet them.
Do you?
Yeah, they come out of the cage and you can stand right next to them. When you got to take the picture, like the raptor like photobombs you.
I haven't actually done it, but
you should go do that. It's pretty fun.
I don't like it when you say things that I think you're messing with me, but you sound serious.
I'm 100% serious. Confirmation.
Okay, his wife. I trust his wife, and she says that is true. So I couldn't find the raptor encounter when I was there last.
It's ducked off in the side of a walkway.
Well, that's Jurassic Park for you. It's like it's like driving down the I-10. Every aisle looks the same unless you see something. I think it's a bad idea. And then you also, like, obviously, or at least hopefully, this idea wouldn't include, say, Cinderella or Prince Charming, like those, like, physical actors that don't have suits. But I don't know. I don't like the idea. I like the idea that, you know, you have actual people who can be spontaneous. A
person or an actor, a character actor, can adapt to a situation, you know?
Mm-hmm.
If a kid's freaking out and crying, the robot doesn't know. The robot should be like, no hug.
You know, you're changing my mind. I kind of do want to see that.
Right. Whereas a person can understand what's going on and be like, okay, I'm just going to back off and let you be.
So that's in the rumor stage, and I'm against it. I think getting rid of character actors, both in rides and in meet and greets, just takes away a little bit of the magic of the parks. Like
the safari ride, for one, that comes to mind. You know, when you're on the safari ride, your tour guide on the front of the bus kind of makes the trip for you. Where if it was just a robot or just the guided tracks, it'd be kind of cool, but it's not the same. You know,
the only element of the Great Movie Ride that's at all cool is the interaction with the cast member. You know, and it's like you never know which one you're going to get. Are you going to get the gangster? Are you going to get, what's the other one? I don't remember the other one. Is it like a Wicked Witch? I think it's from something from Wizard of Oz. I don't remember. Right. It's been a while since I've ridden the Great Movie Ride. I actually think the Great Movie Ride should be taken down.
Isn't it taken down?
No, there was they were saying they were going to take it down for a while. But they had it blocked out for like 2 years because the Great Movie Ride was big for parties. People would book it like for their business or something like that. So they were booked out for like a year and a half. And at some point, I think it was when they decided for sure that we're going to take down the Sorcerer's Hat, and they didn't really have a replacement for the Icon. That they decided, I guess we can keep the Great Movie Ride. And it has its fans. It
could be updated to be pretty cool though.
But it'd have to be seriously updated. And I'm sure that they would put Star Wars and people would freak out. And I don't know. So it is what it is. Personally, I think they should take it down. That's one of those rides like Ellen's Energy Adventure that you only go in because you got like a solid 20 minutes of air conditioning in the heat. And also, like, your feet are hurt, and you're like, yeah, kids.
Or you're like, I've never been in here before.
Yeah.
Okay.
Last bit of information. We've heard more about Disney Infinity, or again, like, it's like all we're talking about is rumors, basically. But the rumor is, and this is a little more solid than the ESPN Shanghai Disneyland, although I do still think those sound like they could be factors. And I'm not talking about specifically Disney Infinity, but in the company overall and how they're looking at what they're willing to spend money on. So they're saying the major problem with it was inventory. That with the first wave, Disney 1.0, they under-ordered because they didn't know how it was going to sell, and people wanted it. You know, demand outstripped supply. So when it came to Marvel and then later Star Wars, they didn't want to have that problem because they were like, well, these are way, not Marvel and Star Wars aren't necessarily bigger than Disney in general, but individually it is. You know, if you put out, Wreck-It Ralph figure, that's not going to do nearly as well as Luke Skywalker.
Right.
You know. So they apparently doubled their orders and lost millions in terms of like what they had available. Although to me, like that just says, just correct your expectation and think of the long game.
Yeah. It'd always be better to order on the lower side and have it in demand. As long as there's demand, it's relevant and people are going to want it.
And especially considering Disney has their own output too. Like, it's not like they have to rely on this one company in China to produce their, although I'm sure, sure there is a company in China that produces a lot of
When you
stuff.
produce you don't have enough, then they sell out, there's demand for them, people are looking for them. Then when you get that second wave out, you're still in everyone's mind like, man, I got to get it this time or it's not going to be there. Whereas, I'm like, hey, I want this figure, I can get it any place,
right,
for a regular price.
And then, I don't know why they did this. Like, it's so annoying. Somebody leaked some of their plans for the future. One of them was that we were going to get several 12-inch figures, including like a Hulkbuster and a Darth Vader. And they would be playable figures that would have a different move set than the regular figures.
That's weird.
But I wanted...
Maybe a 6-inch figure? Like, why 12?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it was...
Like,
it is a weird number, and if you think about it, it means it has to take up both of the slots.
Right.
But either way, just the idea that we would have gotten, like, giant Infinity figures. And they weren't just, like the same model expanded. They were going to light up. They were going to have, like, all sorts of different features, more details in the molds. And it just sounded amazing. They also said they had been working on a Rogue One playset, and we were going to get Rogue One figures. I'm drawing a blank on some of the other ones, but obviously there's so many Disney figures that we never got.
The crossover, everyone was supposed to be able to cross over. They said the next game was going to be completely open, where you could pull characters from this world and this world. You wouldn't necessarily need to play them only in this.
And that was one of the big complaints about Disney Infinity, is that you couldn't do that.
I mean, it all made sense, and we might still see it through another developer. You know?
I feel like, I mean, maybe that's why they released the information, in the hopes that enough people speak out and say, we wanted this. And I think we do. I think, how high is the buzz on Rogue One, even though we know next to nothing about it aside from the main character is a 15-year-old girl, who kind of reminds us of Katniss Everdeen. You know, demand's high for it, and the fact that they're ending it with Finding Dory, which I know there's going to be a lot of little kids that want it, but that's about it. And then I don't like those Tim Burton Alice in Wonderland figures. I don't care about Through the Looking Glass.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Through the Looking Gas is a completely different movie.
Right.
You know? But it's just so short-sighted of them. And on a company, you know, that's founded on the idea of imagination and that basic principle, it just seems so silly of them to just abandon everything. Like, pull in other developers and you know, and don't fire like 300 people in Avalanche Studios because you ordered too many, you know, figures.
I think there's more to it than that.
There probably is, but either way, just a month ago we were talking about how Disney Infinity was going to be around for years, you know, and people like, you know, your cousin Vinny worked for, yes, he has my cousin Vinny. he's a manager over at GameStop, and he was talking about how he always has those figures, and it doesn't do much, but I'm pretty sure it's more popular than Skylanders, which has been around longer. And
It is more popular than Skylanders.
And I know it's more popular than Lego Dimensions. Mm-hmm. Although supposedly that was one of the reasons too. Now that there's so much competition with it, but what does Lego Dimensions have? They've got Batman. People love Batman. They've got Ghostbusters. They've got Doctor Who.
Back to the Future.
Yeah, but that and like Simpsons. It's not that those properties aren't popular, but does anyone really care?
Yes.
At least to play. Maybe. I don't know. I still think Disney had the roster to really make this thing go for like at least like 12, 15 years. Mm-hmm. You know, and especially like I've said, more downloadable content. The be able to play different characters in a play set. You know, chase figures. There's so many things they could have done. Like I fully expected at some point to go to Walt Disney World and get like a bronze Darth Vader or something like that.
Right.
You know, which would have been a simple thing to do. Would have been more expensive, but
like a patinted figure or something like that, where it's a statue. I'd buy that. And
I talked to a few people on a message board, and they were talking about how, that worked out really well with that D23 King Mickey figure. I was like, it did kind of work out well because people were going nuts for that what is it, the disc, the power disc.
Right.
You know, it's kind of proves my point. Although making it as exclusive as you have to be part of D23 isn't the way to go for a chase figure. You know, but
it's a nice treat if you are.
Yeah. You know, but I'm saying, like, making it available in places like Disney stores and stuff, like, you really wanted that Boba Fett figure, the Black Series from Disney Store.
Right.
People camped out at the Disney Store for the first time ever to get a Boba Fett figure. Anyway. So, I guess that's about it. I don't think we have anything else to talk about. Thank you for doing this. This is our second time. Thank you to your wife for staying with us.
It's like a far-off memory.
All right, and that's why we love Disney.
Far-off memory that's like a scattered dream. pieces of it. Yours and mine.
Now, a great deal of time, sweat, and a few tears were expended on all this, but there's a lot of satisfaction in developing ideas to reality which become a part of Disneyland.
A vista into a world of wondrous ideas, signifying man's achievement, a step into the future, with predictions of constructive things to come.